ever eaten moldy chocolate?
The tardigrade?
I'm Jasmine.
Swear on Satan, I'll do that. That's my headcanon.
Okay, into it, all of it.
I'm Mel's.
I love it. Dumb.
Wait a minute. And if you're watching TV,
I love it. Make sure it's damn fine TV.
This is amazing.
that was awesome. Oh my god. Okay.
Revitalizing your face with my tarnished brand. I'm Jay.
And craving Judy's lemon squares, I'm Mel's.
Welcome to Damn Fine TV Goes to the Movies.
This time we're covering what's less of a shriekwell and more of a scream make, because all there are now are remakes. It's a new decade with new rules. It's Scream 4. And you know what that means. Let's slice and dice.
Yes. Scream 4.
Okay.
New decade, new rules. Most important rule, as Sydney tells us at the end, don't fuck with the original.
That's right.
Do we think this movie followed that rule? Do we even think that rule is a thing to follow?
Okay. I like Scream 4.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my favorite Scream? No, I actually like Scream 3 better than Scream 4. But for what it is, I liked it. It came back after hiatus, there were so many years in between.
Yeah.
I think I grow to appreciate this movie more and more. And the main thing is some of the characters, and they're not obviously legacy characters. Like, I love Sydney, I love Dewey, I love Gail. But this new cast, I was really into them. I will tell you the low point, or the only thing that I struggle with in Scream 4 is Emma Roberts. And I don't mean any shade to her.
I do.
Well, okay. I don't vibe with her, and I don't vibe with Jill. But the concept of what they were doing, I mean, we were moving into the era now of like everything being captured for the internet, right? And this was a very new thing and a fresh take on Scream. And so I appreciated that. I appreciated kind of setting up this love for the original. Well, and it carries over into 5 Cream, to be honest with you. It just feels a little different in 5 Cream.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I don't hate it. It's just, you can tell it's got a very different vibe. And and this is where I get confused, because what did they come back with Scream 4 for? Because like 3, it was supposed to be a trilogy, and 3 was like the end of it. So I don't know if they were just trying to revive the franchise or what they were doing. So I don't hate it. I love Charlie. I love Kirby. I just, the hardest part for me is Jill. And I know that she's really, I guess, the main culprit in this one. And that's just where it falls flat for me. But I mean, outside of that, like, Dewey had some great silly moments. He didn't feel as goofy as in Scream 3, even though I enjoy Goofy Dewey. So yeah, I mean, the introduction of Deputy Judy, it still to this day confuses me. And especially when we get into 5 Cream, because a lot of the events just don't line up. And I try not to get too into the weeds, but I was like, she went to high school with Sydney, but she seems to have a crush on Dewey from back in the day too. But then in 5 Cream, she's got like a high school age son. I don't know. Like, I think Judy, before 5 Cream, I was okay with Judy. And then like rewatching this after 5 Cream, I'm like, I get hung up on the Judy stuff, to be honest with you as well. Even though that's not as big of a part. But yeah, I love the kind of movie within a movie within a movie, like the fake outs of the opening kills. I didn't mind that. So yeah, it's middle of the road. I appreciate the innovation that they were putting into the storyline, but it's hard for me because of Jill.
Yeah. And it's such a big part of it. And
Right.
uh, so I I don't think this movie does anything unforgivable in terms of fucking with the original. Like
Right.
I don't and how do you do that anyway? You know, we kind of talked about this a little bit on a Patreon exclusive video that we just did when we're talking about people that are hating on this new show Velma and, you know, gatekeeping the original of something and being so like precious about it. It's like nothing Scream 4 could change my feelings about Scream.
Right.
I love that line. I love that Sydney says, "Don't fuck with the original." It's just a great line in the moment. But I guess I asked it kind of just more like poking fun at it a little bit. But even though it doesn't and it doesn't mess with the original, but I feel like it doesn't do anything for me really. Like it doesn't even make a name for itself really. And I agree with some of the points that you brought up. Like it's just like every Scream movie that came before it. It is very tapped into the current pop culture and what is, you know, and making a comment about that. Like it is once again ahead of its time in knowing how big video content was going to be and
Yeah.
becoming famous from making shit on the internet was going to be. Like, yes, influencers were sort of starting to be a thing at that time, but it was really just like the YouTube scene and it wasn't so much on Instagram yet and certainly not TikTok. But again, like this franchise seems to know what's going to come and like have these like great takes on things that are coming in the future. So I loved it for that and it definitely continues the legacy of being so in touch with those elements of culture and also upping the ante when it comes to the meta narrative and being self-aware. Like the movie within the movie within the movie, I mean, that is the next level. Like that just seems like an organic, you know, follow-up to
Progression.
everything that's come before. Yeah, like, oh, we had a stage production, we had stuff at a movie theater, we were on a sound studio, now we're a movie within a movie within a movie. That stuff is great. But the first thing that really doesn't sit well with me is the rules conversation. It pales in comparison to what has come before, and I know that part of that is just the simple fact that Randy is not with us anymore, and he didn't send a video about what might happen if we made it to a fourth, like a fourth
Oh.
round, and it's a hard act to follow because Randy has just always been the rules guy, and he's always been so great at that. But I but even part of me wishes that we could have seen Kirby laying down the rules. Like, I don't really understand why she's in Cinema Club but not running it. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. She's the coolest one of all of these people. She has the most knowledge of all of these people. I don't get that. But even still, I don't think she would have had a lot to work with. These rules feel very thin to me. These
Mhm.
feel like the least explored, least thought out rules of the whole franchise.
Mhm.
And for as much as they talk about how, oh, like the unexpected is what's cliche now. So you have to like do something different, or everybody knows the rules. So you have to do something different. There's all this emphasis on doing something different. And yet they did a lot of what Scream did.
Yeah.
I like you didn't there was not enough new for me here for them to live up to all of this talk about needing to do something different. And don't get me wrong, Scream is no stranger to like setting up rules and then breaking them, but I feel like they've always been broken in super interesting ways, whereas here it's like, "Oh, the party isn't the final sequence." Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
And I'll be honest, like there's there's something there's something off about Like, this movie just doesn't feel like it's part of the Scream universe, to be honest.
I agree.
It it feels like a one-off type thing, and like I said, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that, but the issues I run into is, I mean, right from the jump, we're set up with Jill, who's supposed to be like Sydney 2.0. I mean, Sydney even says to her, "You just remind me so much of myself." And she's got the weird ass boyfriend Trevor, who could or could not be doing this. So
Shows up in the bedroom very similarly to how
yes.
Skeet shows up or Billy shows up, whatever.
Right. And then you have like the garage door scene with the real opening kill or whatever, and I'm like, so it it does feel like a it feels like a the like generic brand of Scream or something.
Yes,
But
it's like it's no name. It's no name.
it really, but I mean, again, I feel like I'm maybe being a bit odd in how I'm explaining it because I'm gonna be honest, I love the character of Charlie. I don't know what it is about him. I don't know if it's because he's a Culkin. I
I was
don't
gonna say
know.
I think it's because he's a Culkin.
Maybe. I mean, there's something about that character though that I just find like he's more of the brooding boyfriend than like this guy they have. Like
Yes.
the Trevor, I feel like Trevor is actually like he's supposed to be Billy 2.0, but he's actually like Luke Wilson in Stab.
Yeah.
Uh, you know what I mean? Like if Luke Wilson in Stab was like the real thing or something.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
It is, like, there's something I really like your use of the generic brand
Yeah,
because it's like, it's not bad, but it's not the real thing.
right.
And
Also
it's
the
like
character.
there's just something, like, hollow.
Well,
And yeah, it's not bad, and I really actually don't mean to, like, shit on it, and I actually don't wanna throw shade at Emma Roberts, even though she's so not for me, and I think she was completely miscast in this role. This
yeah,
was not for her. This was
yeah.
not the right thing for her to be doing,
No.
but it just, like it's like milk that's been in your fridge a little too long, and you know it's a bit off. It's okay. But, like, you can taste it. It's not great.
It's just 2 days past expiration.
Yeah.
Um, Even the character of Sydney, like, feels very off and hollow, like what you were saying, like hollow, like it doesn't even feel like the real Sydney. And
It
that's why I'm
doesn't.
like,
It doesn't at all.
it just, yeah, like the generic, it's so watered down. Like, I don't feel like it's badass, boom, bitch went down Sydney. Like, it's just this very meek version of her. And I guess
Like, there
it's
are some scenes where she kicks some ass,
sure,
but she's
sure.
always done that.
I know. It's just like there were just odd. Like, maybe the whole interact like, the first interaction between her and Judy, like, maybe that's why I just get these really weird, like I know we're trying to cast doubt or we're trying to cast a shadow on, like, all of these
Like,
characters.
literally casting a shadow on Judy in
I
the in the
When I tell
darkness.
you, I was like, "Wait a minute. Is this, like" I could only see her lower half.
Like,
I
what?
didn't
It
remember
was
it
so
being
weird.
I didn't remember her being that immersed into the darkness, but yeah, I don't know. Like,
Okay, so
there's just
also
something weird about it.
there's
Sorry.
something su no, 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 it's fine. There's something super weird about it. It even looks weird. There's, like, a weird, warm, soft filter to the whole thing,
Yeah.
and part of me really does wonder, is the entire thing some sort of commentary on how remakes and reboots try to capture a particular essence, but can't ever quite get there?
Mhm.
Like, because if that's the case, then the movie is pure genius.
Yeah. Well,
Like, if
yeah.
this was purposeful and even giving us that visualization of, like, why like, if like, it feels like there's something between us and the actual movie with even with that warm, soft, glowy filter bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's like everybody feels so inaccessible.
Right.
Like everybody, yes, Dewey has some cute moments, but like I feel like he's barely around. He's there for the final showdown, but he's not really around except for, them introducing yet another woman for Gale to fight with about Dewey. I mean, why? They've been married for 10 years. Leave these two alone. Like, and then, like we once again have to watch poor Courtney Cox do the same dialogue about like, I've helped solve these murders before. You can like, why am I not a part of this? Why was that the only thing being given to her? She can do so much more. And I'm glad that she did go rogue and do her own thing because I will never not love watching her thumbs upping in the ghost face mask. That's one of the best parts of the whole movie.
Honestly, that whole like stab marathon party or whatever, like I liked that. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it just feels so out of place, and
Yeah.
I just don't understand where Scream 4 is supposed to fit in. Like, even though a lot of people didn't care for Scream 3, I felt like that there was still a through line. There was still, a lot of, it still felt like a lot of the original, like, flavor to it or whatever. And this was just a very bland, like, version of it. And
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
Even like, oh my God, I'm just thinking when you said bland, it reminds me of Aunt Kate, who is like, I'm sorry, but that's dog shit. Whatever is happening there. It's bad. It is bad. Like that is from a parody film. That's not from
right.
It's so bad.
And the kills aren't even, I mean, honestly, the kills aren't even original. And I guess maybe that, like you said, if it's a commentary on this, I mean, pretty genius then. Because, I mean, like, even the stabbing of Charlie was, I mean, like, that's supposed to be like with, Billy and Stu and everything, right? So, I mean, but I don't.
Well, and they redid the whole Steve and Casey Becker thing too.
Exactly. So I get like Sydney saying like don't fuck with the original, but it was like, well, I don't even get original vibes off this. Like it wasn't even cleverly like back to the original or something. You know what I'm trying to say when I say that? Like it's a weird, okay. It's like when you have carbon copy pieces of paper, like when you're making, like if you're filling out a form for something and there's like the white copy, the yellow, and then like the pink.
Yes.
This is like the pink one where you only see a little bit of like what you're writing on it.
You know it's there, but
it's supposed to be part of it, but you're like, what's the point of this pink piece of paper? Because no matter how hard you bear down, it's not going to give you what you want.
I mean, we could do so many metaphors like that too. Like it's like almost a clone of itself, where it's got all of the things, but there's something off because it's not a real human.
Yeah. Yeah. And the filter or the feeling of it, like it just feels like it was even shot very differently. And it was Wes Craven that did it. So
it's Wes and Kevin Williamson. Yeah. So I mean, like, this is why, like, the more I've thought about it today, the thing that I keep coming back to is, were they really just trying to comment on reboots and remakes in general and how, and yet I don't feel like that's totally fair because not all remakes and reboots get it wrong, but then again, like Scream has never tried to say something about an entire body of work. It's just been like, this is what the mainstream kind of thing is, and we're commenting on the tropes and the mainstream. So maybe that is what they were doing, but I don't know that I've ever read anything that posits that theory, or like any interview with them that has said like, oh, people really don't get it because this is what we were going for,
Yeah. Well, and I think this is the first time I've watched it since I've seen Five Cream. And when I first saw Five Cream, I thought to myself, this feels a lot like Scream 4. But see, now that I've watched Scream 4 after 5 Cream, I'm like, well, 5 Cream did everything that you would have wanted, like, in Scream 4, I think. Like,
Yeah.
it set up it set the ball up for them to volley it over. It just yeah, I
Scream
don't know.
5 really like, looking back now, it's like they 5 Cream really took a lot of threads from Scream 4
Mhm.
and tightened them up and
Yes.
expanded
Yeah.
on them. Like, all the stuff about, I mean, toxic fandom is something that
Yes.
has come from our super inundated, or our world of being online and inundated with, like, opinions and thoughts and everything coming from everywhere all the time on social media, right? And even the toxic masculinity, which is like, it's very faint, but it's there with Charlie just towards the end when he's killing Kirby, but it's there, and then they take it and run with it a little bit further in Scream 5, and I feel like they just did a better job with it, and I don't
They
know
did.
if it's just the timing that that one came out. It's, tapping into a spot that's a little more well developed for them to tap into or something, or I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I know this came out in 2011, so maybe the timing was just not great for this film. Like, I can I can maybe see this a couple of years later, which is funny even say that because excuse me, we do talk about it being ahead of its time. Usually that's what Scream is. It's always
Yeah.
2 steps ahead, but it's it's like the thought was there, but the execution just wasn't that great. And
Well, it was 2 steps ahead, but it was like doing a different dance.
right. And I hate to I really don't want to pin it all on Emma Roberts, but the as I was rewatching it today, I was like, I just cannot get into Jill, and she's supposed to be like, we're supposed to like this character, and there's nothing likable about her. Even I remember the first time I watched Scream 4, before I even knew that Jill obviously was, the killer in the end, I was like, I don't like anything about the storyline with Jill. Like, all of it, and
She's
so
so nothing throughout the whole
that
film
yeah,
until that final sequence, and the thing is, I actually, like, I love the reasoning behind I love most of the reasoning. I
right.
can't really get behind the, like, "Oh, Sydney this and Sydney that. Do you know how hard it was to be in your" It's like, "Bitch, you didn't even exist, and Sydney had a whole ass half brother that we just found out about a decade ago, and he was more believable than you are." Like, I do not believe that you are related to Sydney at all. I don't believe that your mother was her mother's sister. There's nothing believable about this for me. So
There's really not.
the connection to Sydney really is completely, no, it just does not work. It's a failure for me.
Yeah.
What I like is the idea of using that to become famous
Yes.
and flipping the script even on your own partner, just in the way Billy did to Stu, but even pushing it that step further. That's something that I liked, that was a callback. And what I really appreciated too was that, because we did get a female killer in Scream 2, but it's, I mean, Debbie Salt, quote unquote, who's fucking chaotic, who I actually genuinely love, but who is a mess. Like, that's a
Yeah.
mess of a character.
Yeah.
I like that we got another female killer here. I like that she has seemingly orchestrated this whole thing on her own. Like, this was all her doing. I love the way that she has to, not has to, but the damage that she does to herself, and um just the whole thing. It's really good, but it just doesn't work because Emma Roberts is just not the right person to do it. She's just not pulling it off. But when I erase Emma Roberts from it, it's like, I like the idea that's underneath all of this. I really like it,
Yeah.
but it's not coming to life.
When she beats herself up, though, I mean, honestly, I'm like, I'm kind of into this. Okay, like,
I mean, I think that's because
Well, a lot of that would have had to be, like, stunt people and effects, and, I mean,
Oh,
she's
sure.
not really
Yeah.
doing too much of it, and it's mostly her just following direction of being like, "Fuck yourself up." Like,
Yes.
it's not the it's the killer reveal speech when she's, "Are you surprised? Didn't you get it yet?" Like, "Oh my
I hate
god."
I
Oh,
do
it's just not
that's the
good.
worst reveal speech, honestly, of the series. Like, I used to think it was Roman, but, like, I've
It's
really
not.
stepped myself up from that, and I'm like, "No, Jill's is actually the worst."
Mhm.
Also, like, she says in the beginning, which feels so contradictory. I understand, like, if you have a relative, like, let's say Sydney Prescott is your relative, right? Sure, like, that's gonna be part of your family history. But, I
Yeah.
mean, she even says in the interrogation room in the beginning with Kirby and, other girlfriend of hers, where she's like, "I didn't really grow up knowing her." So it's like, well, then how can you be so fucking jealous? Like, you act like you were in like, not like you were put in the background of this, but you clear as day just admitted that you grew up not knowing her.
Yes.
So it's like, it's
And
too,
I think I think
hectic.
I think part of that is her pretending, right, and putting on a show, but there is something that then feels cheap in the end,
Right. That's what
which
I mean,
doesn't
like, it
fall
just
in
doesn't.
line with how Scream does things. Like, I don't ever feel like the killer reveal is cheap.
Right.
Even if you don't necessarily love a particular killer, I don't ever feel like, "Oh, really? Oh, okay, like, that doesn't really make any sense." Like, they've always made sense.
Right.
I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah,
but
this one was I do have to share something funny though. So when I was watching it, just like in the begin like Scott was watching it with me, I came to realize that I don't think he's ever seen Scream 4. But it was hilarious because like when they're talking while Kirby's driving and like she almost hits that car. I mean, he like jumped out of the chair and I was like, that's not even a jump scare. And he was like, well, it's the girl in the back with no seatbelt on that really has me very nervous. And I was like, oh, great cover up. But I mean, like, I sat there though thinking, like, this was the scary parts of the film is like not taking your seatbelt safety serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I still felt like when we talked about Scream 3, we talked about some of the kills as being uber realistic and everything. Like, even the kills just didn't feel I don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, like I said, the beginning fake outs with the kill scenes, like that's fine. I was like, Sookie Stackhouse,
Yeah.
and
I particularly like that one where
yeah,
she just
yeah.
turns around and is like, "Did you see that coming?" Like, their interactions were great.
Well, and that's Kristen Bell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Okay, that was great. Um, but yeah, I mean, like outside of that, like I didn't really care when Sydney's publicist or whatever got the boot, and I
No.
didn't. I mean,
Also,
it just
she was just like a different version. She was a less chaotic version of Debbie Salt because
that's true.
the way that she sort of not harassed, but like bothered Gail felt very reminiscent of that. And I
Yeah,
was just like, can we give Gail something better to do? Like, she deserves it. I mean, I
yeah.
don't know. Okay, so I do have some nice things to say, like Kirby.
I
I
love Kirby.
mean, I don't know if Hayden Panettiere had to get, like, back surgery after carrying most of this film on her fucking shoulders, but, like, she does some amazing work here. She's one of the only characters that I feel like somehow comes alive despite all of this bullshit. Like,
Yeah,
she she feels real to me. I enjoy her interactions with like, I love her different chemistry. I mean, she makes Emma Roberts better somehow.
yeah,
And, just I don't know, like, something about her wearing that suit jacket, which was such a look at that time, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go get my suit jackets out." I like it, it's a good
yeah,
look, but her whole vibe is so good, and then, I mean, the scene where she is on the phone, that is the scene of Scream 4 for me, like,
yeah.
I don't think anything else can top that. The way she's shaking is so that
another problem for me too, this like you're saying with the seatbelt thing, there it's not scary. There's no part of this film that I find scary. And we've gone
Exactly.
from Scream being one of the scariest things I will ever see to like, but the scene with Kirby, that is the only time that I find myself even the slightest bit frightened, and it's all in her acting. It's in the shaking, it's in the physicality that she's choosing, it's in the way that she runs down all of those movies like only a true horror fan could in
Yeah.
that moment, and just it's that whole thing is really, really good, and I'm
Yeah.
so excited that she's coming back.
Oh, me too. So she's really the only, I mean, she's really the only bright spot for me. And that's why I'm so stoked that she's coming back for
Yeah.
Screamix. But um yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just I hate it because I really thought that I really liked this movie.
Okay, same. So, like, the same way that I misremembered having such a problem with Scream 3, as I was watching this, I was like, "Do I fucking hate this? Like, what's
Like honestly,
happening?"
and I don't I wonder if it has to do with Five Cream coming out and
Yeah,
just being, I think everything that Scream 4 was really
could it
trying to
be?
be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good
Um,
point. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think I had watched Scream 4 again since seeing Five Cream, so it's totally possible. You're seeing it with a completely different lens now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But man, it's just,
Hmm.
and I found myself just very distracted, like I wasn't very, like, into rewatching it, and I
Same.
was like,
Same.
"What's going on here?"
And
Because
honestly, I think I used to defend this one to
I
people.
I was just about to say, like, I used to die on the hill of Scream 4,
Yeah.
and I also don't know if it's because we've been watching, like, rewatching them in this order so close together, so maybe, like, I'm loving Scream 3 and Scream 4 is a dip, and then because 5 Cream brings it, it just heightens it so much more, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I don't know
I
either,
used
but
to
this
though
is
really defend this movie, and today I just was like, "Am I in a bad mood? Like, is there something going on?" But no, I just realized that I don't care for it at all.
not in
It's
the
not
way
the
that I used
worst Scream
to.
movie, right, but it's not
Okay.
it
Well, so that's interesting. So at this point, I mean, to everybody watching, if you're watching along in order, we do already have coverage of Five Cream. You've probably already found it on the YouTube channel, but just in case you haven't, it is out there. So we've covered all of the Scream films that are out and available at the time of recording this. Do you want to do a quick ranking?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying this isn't the worst one?
No, okay.
You wanna go best
So,
to worst or worst to best?
yeah,
I
I'll
don't
do best to worst.
I think I might have to do best to worst because I don't know if I can do it in the backwards order.
I'll mess myself up doing the backwards order.
Yeah.
Alright, number 1 is Scream.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Five Cream.
Yeah.
Number 3 is 3. Um,
Yeah.
4 is 4, and then I'm gonna have to put Scream 2 at 5.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
And
So 2
I
so
feel
2 is the
weird.
worst. 2 is the worst for you.
Yeah, and I feel weird saying that because it's not like I have a serious issue with 2,
Yeah.
but I give more props to 4 for what the message they were trying to convey with the advances in technology and the toxic behavior in the community. Like, it felt a little more, I hate to use the word elevated, but you know what I mean? It felt a little more elevated than, like, what Scream 2 came in. Like, Scream 2 just felt like it was the classic sequel to, a movie. And then when you
Yeah.
get more out, it kind of goes down the list for me.
I see
So,
what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean. This is really tough because I think I have as many problems with Scream 2 as I have with Scream 4. But I'm wondering what did we love about Scream 2? I mean, We definitely said there was things to like, but now I'm not remembering.
Well, I think the
I mean, it still has Randy, which is I think a huge thing for me. And Scream 2 still feels like of a time, I guess.
Sure.
Hmm.
I mean, there were things to love. Like, I think we talked about the stage portion of it and like
Yeah.
Sydney's, like struggles and everything. I mean, but overall, I mean, I I think that we liked Mickey being
The
an
film
obvious.
class
Yeah, the film class.
that film class sequence versus the cinema club sequence in 4, I think 2 wins for that. That's a
It
much more
does.
interesting conversation.
But do you like the barn? Like, do you like the stab-a-thon? See, the thing that puts Scream 4 up a little bit for me is everybody out there doing the stab marathon thing. I
Okay.
don't ask me why, because I don't know, but I really liked that.
I still struggle with, like, being stoked for Ghostface. And I was Googling, like, trying to figure out, like, what are movies that are actually based on real serial killers, and do we have that same kind of relationship to them where we get super hyped up and we get dressed up like these people and that have, committed real murders? And, like, I don't know that we have anything that's real that's to this level.
No, I mean, I know
But it
that
But I
I know
will
that
say this, like, at least the people getting dressed up like Ghostface and super excited for the films, they have an entire franchise versus the people in Scream 2 at the opening of the very first stab who are just literally celebrating the murders. So,
and that's what I didn't like about that, yeah.
yeah. But sorry, I cut you off. I feel like you were gonna.
No, I mean, honestly, I mean, I know that there's a lot of horror films based off of, like, true.
Sure.
But, like, Texas Chainsaw, I think is, like, Ed Gein. So, like, that would be the only one that I can think, but people do I mean, like, if the new Texas Chainsaw came out in the theaters, people wouldn't be dressing up as Leatherface.
I
Like,
don't
there's
think
something about.
so.
No. I mean, there's
Yeah.
something about, like I said in Scream 2, like, I'm not gonna go to a theater if I see a bunch of people dressed up like Michael Myers. I'm not going to fucking do it,
No,
okay?
no.
Like,
You're just
so.
asking for it. Uh, okay, so I think I agree with your ranking, honestly. I mean, it's definitely Scream and then 5 Cream. I think 3 has to come next. It's just overall, I had way more fun watching that.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I don't know. I don't know that I can make a call between 2 and 4. I feel like I enjoy and struggle with them equally, honestly. I don't think one can
Yeah.
go over the other.
Well, and that yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. I probably would agree with that too, actually. I could put them on, like, a level, like, playing field.
Mhm.
Um, I just think
Because
that.
Kirby is such a bright spot for me,
Right. Right.
but Jill is such a downer.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't hate the killers as much in Scream 2, but the opening sequence was not as good.
Mm-mm.
So that's what I mean, like, they kind of have an equal amount going for them and an equal amount against them.
Yeah.
But does Scream 2 feel like it's still, like we just said, like, Scream 4 feels like it's, like, the no-name generic version. I don't feel that way about Scream 2.
I don't feel that way about Scream 2 either, but
So
what oh, what I struggle with in Scream 2 is, and like I said, I really think that was the one where a lot of like, they were pushed to get a sequel out.
yeah.
It just feels, I don't know. I mean, it had some great moments in it, don't get me wrong. Like, I think that, like I told you, that was my most watched horror film, and, like, I saw that movie so many times in the theater. But then Scream 3 came along, and I was like, "Oh, this is," at the time, I was like, "This is better." Just struggle with Scream 2 the more I watch it. For me, I don't resonate with Billy's mom. I just don't. that doesn't land for me, and it makes it hard. And we
Yeah.
talked about this. I think it's because where Jill is annoying because it feels fake. Like Debbie's not in Scream 2 enough for me that it's believable. So I think that's where I struggle, because for
Yeah.
that to be the direct sequel to Scream where the killer reveals were so like jaw dropping, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it felt
I think you're
weird.
right. I think 4 goes above 2, and especially if we wanna roll with the idea that it was a commentary on remakes and reboots,
Yeah.
not, trying to capture a particular essence and not really being able to get there. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Well,
What a
I'm
wild ride.
yeah, what a wild ride. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in my notes, because I was about to say, well, I'm so excited to see, Screamix and where Screamix is gonna fit in. I mean, hopefully, with any luck, it's gonna now go Screamix, 5 cream, right? I mean, that's what we can hope for.
I
But
know.
although,
Okay.
you know what? Like, I mean, is the lack of Sydney gonna be oof, how much of a big deal is that gonna be? I don't know.
I don't think I'm ready for it, to really be honest with you. And I don't know if you want me to share my thoughts on I
Ooh, your prediction. Yes. I'm just trying to
oh,
see if I have anything else about 4
the thing I was gonna
before we
say,
totally move on, but
you remember how we talked about the okay, no, let me scratch that. I felt really bad for the 2 cops in this one that got killed,
yeah.
okay? I really did, because I love Anthony Anderson, I think is his name.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I think that's right.
yeah, and so I felt really bad when they were killed, because I was like, "No, like that." They were, to me, they were just sweet little cute little babies. I don't know.
They
Um,
they were very inept, I'll say that.
well, they weren't the best, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, I've got nothing else from 4. It is what it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess the kill of
Mm.
Jill,
Yeah.
though, well, that was a little creative, to be honest, like the
Yeah.
defibrillator and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, "Huh, okay, alright." Um, but yeah,
Right,
I
I
mean,
guess we didn't do a favorite kill, but would that be it?
I
Jill
guess
just
so,
finally getting
yeah.
rid of her?
Just get rid of her, she's done. Kill
Yeah.
Jill. It's not Kill
Kill
Bill, Kill
Jill.
Jill.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I guess that
Um,
would be it. Like, I mean, or the only other one I would go with is Anna Paquin in the beginning.
and honestly, yeah. Just
I did appreciate the blood splatter in Olivia's room. It felt a little wild, but it looked cool.
it felt wild, but it looked good.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It looked good. How
I feel like people watching this also love
okay.
blood. They know what we
I'm
mean.
like,
Like,
"Whoa, that was great. All the bloods and guts everywhere was wonderful." Um,
all right, so
oh gosh.
Screamix theory. I mean,
I
let's say if anybody doesn't want to hear
oh, yeah.
theories about Screamix and you wanna, exit out now, definitely check out our coverage of 5 Cream. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Check out our regular podcast at Damn Fine TV wherever you do social medias and listen to podcasts, and thank you
Yeah.
for listening.
Thank you.
And now we're gonna talk about Screamix predictions.
Okay, so on one of these very sleepless nights, oh gosh. Well, I was just thinking, like, when James got his nosebleed, that was pretty much like Olivia's room. So
I was
anyway,
also that's exactly what I thought when you told me about it earlier tonight, but I wanted you to come there organically if you
I
were
just
going
came
to.
there organically because I thought about this, my thoughts on who the opening kill might be,
Mhm.
because I couldn't go to sleep after the bloody nose incident. So
Right.
anyway, I just wonder if Nev is not coming back, if Sydney's not gonna be in Screamix, the last legacy character is Gale, and it just makes me wonder. I mean, I know it's gonna not be in California
Mhm.
anymore,
Mhm.
but can Gale stay away? So anyway, it just makes me wonder if it's going to be like a Cotton Weary moment where the opening
Right.
kill is going to be like one of our characters that we actually know versus it being just somebody's odd out friend that, the word gets around about.
I'm
I don't want
legitimately
it.
about to cry.
I
Like,
do
I
not
am
want it to
crying.
be. I do not want it to be. And full disclosure, I haven't watched any
No,
promo material on
neither have
Screamix
I.
yet. I have literally avoided it like the plague.
Yeah.
Don't cry. I
No, because
but I'm
we are planning on breaking down the trailer for
yes.
our Patreon at some point. So, but neither of us have seen anything yet. But just the idea of it being such an end of an era. I mean, I was gutted when Dewey died. I mean, that was really hard.
And that's what makes me
Um,
wonder if they're just gonna go ahead
this was
and
it.
zip it
Yeah.
up with Gale.
I wonder, I mean, have you heard anything about any future films? Like, have they been picked up for more than this? Like, because it's certainly an interesting idea because it's like, where, do they want to just have the all new people going into the next one? And new people meaning like anybody from, well, I guess Scream 4 and onwards, but, you know,
Right.
unless
Um,
Kirby doesn't survive either, but
I honestly don't know.
yeah.
I haven't heard anything about
Mhm.
another Scream film. And like I said, I've been avoiding, like, I've muted Scream on, like,
Yeah.
everything. Like, I saw it was trending on Twitter the other day, and I could not, like, I didn't have enough, I wanna say common sense, but that's not it. I didn't have enough, like,
Willpower.
willpower, thank you, to not click on it, so I went and muted the topic because I was like, I know I'm gonna spoil myself. I
Yeah.
purposely haven't been on Reddit. I haven't looked at any of my normal like YouTube people that I watch like all the horror stuff on because you know, I don't know if they've said anything about Scream 7, but
No, and I'm realizing now that this was the perfect time to check out of social media, and maybe I won't come back until after I've seen
I know,
Screamix
right?
because part of Scream 5 was ruined for me
It
by
was.
Mr. fucking Skeet Ulrich himself.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
yeah.
I hated that
Anyway.
for you because, like, so I went to see it, not opening night, but the next I went to a Saturday
Yeah.
matinee because I'm old. Anyway,
Oh, yeah, matinee all the way, please.
yes, there's a lot fewer people in there. So anyway, but when I saw that and knew you hadn't seen it yet, I was like, "Oh my god, like this is huge, and is this gonna get spoiled?" And then he's I say he spoiled it, but I mean, like, at that point, I guess they had just figured that everybody had, like, seen it, which I think is
Yes,
asinine
but the
because it was, like,
issue
opening weekend still.
Well, and the issue was at that time, there was another lockdown happening where,
Mhm.
like specifically in Canada, theaters were shut down. So
Yep.
nobody could see it opening weekend anyway. And I remember the outrage on Instagram of people like on the Scream Movies account being like, please, for the love of God, release it online. Like none
I
of us can
know.
go to a theater. Like we'll pay the same price. Just give it to us.
I'll pay $24.99 to stream it. I would have done that and watched it at home, but
I would have done that too. I mean, like, I would have just had people over for a watch party to
yes.
watch it. Absolutely. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
was gonna pay that to go to the movies anyway. So, like, but
Yeah.
anyway, so like it was so early on that I was like, this sucks. But I mean, it didn't really,
It
yes, it
didn't take
ruined
away
the surprise, but
right, but it
it
didn't
still
take
was
away
like
from yeah.
exactly. It was still effective in the movie, but like I would rather avoid anything like that this time. So
I'm telling you, like, yeah, I don't wanna hear anything about it until I break down the trailer, and
yeah.
then we'll see.
But that's knowledge that everybody has. So,
Right, right,
like,
right, right,
that's
right.
not yeah, I mean, we're not digging for anything anywhere and trying to get spoiled, so
Yeah.
anyways, that's all for our conversation about Screamix when we get to it, but this has been
Woo!
Scream 4. And then we're done our rewatch. Like I said, we already have coverage of 5 Cream on our channel, so feel free to check it out or whatever, or maybe you've already seen it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry
I
for the
know.
terrible video quality. It was bad.
Oh.
It was bad times for me and my camera.
Oh gosh, whatever. You're so silly.
It is what it is, yeah. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you subscribe, ring a ding ding the bell,
Yeah.
do all the things,
Comment
like, subscribe,
below.
comment below if you like it.
What is it? Hit that notification
Yeah,
bell.
hit the
Yeah.
notification bell.
And then also check us out on Patreon. I know we mentioned that we had just recorded some exclusive content over there. So we're also patreon.com/damnfinetv.
Yeah, and that's where we'll be breaking down the trailer, so you can come and check it out over there. That'll be out sometime in, well, end of February, beginning of March, before the movie comes out anyway. So, yeah. All right.
Exciting
Well,
time.
until then, we'll be right back.